Hi, welcome to another exciting episode of the Andre The Beast Crayton Show. Today, we're talking about entertainment and the journey that it takes to get there from one of our local celebrity artists. Welcome to the show, comedian, poet, entertainer, promoter, LaShae. Welcome to the show.
Hey, everybody.
Let's get right down to it. Tell the viewers a little bit about LaShae.
All right. Well, as you just stated, I am a poet, I'm a host, I'm a comedian, and I'm a promoter. I've been in the game, so to speak, for about a year and a half. I've only been promoting since January of this year, and I've only been hosting since January of this year.
How did all this come about?
Well,
were you funny as a child?
I was definitely funny as a child.
Take me down that road when you was a child.
So I was always put on the spot for being a ham, so to speak. I was always cracking jokes. I was always singing, dancing, knowing good and well I couldn't sing or dance, but I did it anyway.
Okay.
So I was always kind of put on the spot to put on a show.
And then what?
I went into middle school and I discovered what was called the speech team. And I discovered my love of poetry. So I would go in and I would be able to find different works of art from different poets. I would take them, kind of compile them into a little binder, and I would write introductions and transitions for each poem. And I would get up and I would present and compete each round. So there were usually 3 rounds, anywhere from 5 to 7 people in a room. And that's how I got started with my love of poetry.
And you call that being scared? Shy?
Yeah, it's only 5 or 6 people.
So you mentioned Maya Angelou. What's your connection with that and the fascination with such a great individual?
So I went on a Power of Words, I think is what I had written it as. And I had a couple of Maya Angelou poems, a couple of Langston Hughes poems. And Ain't I a Woman was one of my favorite poems. I learned how to take words on a page and make them my own.
How do you do that? Like, give me an example of taking somebody's work, especially somebody like Maya Angelou, and turning it into you or making a different statement. Well, how do you do that? So
you can literally take the Ain't I a Woman. You can say it just as plain. Ain't I a woman? You can put some anger behind it. Ain't I a woman?
I'd be scared of that.
You can put a little softness to it, like, ain't I a woman? It all depends on how you say it. So, infliction.
You struggled earlier in life with some trauma that you shared with me with identity. And unfortunately, you had to learn that at a young age. Take the viewers down that road.
So over the course of my life, I learned different things about myself. I learned that I was different in elementary school because I grew up in Brightwood and I went to school in
21st in Brightwood?
25th.
25th? Close
25th
enough.
Street, 25th Street.
Okay.
So I grew up right around the corner from the juvenile center, and I was an inner city kid.
Right.
So the way I lived at home in the neighborhood was not at all how I lived out in Greenwood at school.
What do you mean by that?
I straddled the line. So when I was at home, I struggled to fit in with my friends from the neighborhood because most of them went to IPS schools. And then there was me who's going out here all the way to Greenwood, and I'm getting a different type of education. It kind of goes into that inequality of the educational system.
Could you please sit down?
Very much
Versus
so.
sit down.
Very, very much so.
Okay.
So that was a struggle. And then going to school in Perry Township, being one of the only kids of color for most of my education was tough. In the 3rd grade, I had an altercation with a kid named Alex Little. We were on the playground, he spit in my face, and he called me a nigger. And that was the first time that I knew what made me different. But I didn't quite understand it. I just knew it was wrong. So I beat his ass and drug him down the playground.
What was the repercussions?
On that particular day, both of us lost recess for the year. Or for the day, I'm sorry. Both of us lost recess for the day because it was a fight between the two of us. I lost recess for the rest of the year because I did more damage than he did. But no one looked at the fact of what caused the altercation. All they saw was I beat his ass.
Who took the initiative to address the situation? I know that was in the third grade. It's probably hard for you to remember the full details, but who did you share with? Then who took control of the situation? That's something serious for a third grader to call somebody the N-word. And who came to the rescue and said, "Look, this isn't right"?
My mom was a very active parent, so although it wasn't expected for many of us Brightwood kids to have an active parent, my mother was active in my life. So when I came home crying and explaining to her that I lost recess because Alec called me the N-word, she immediately took me up there the next day, and she went and had a meeting with the principal and the teacher. And at the end of the day, I still lost recess for the rest of the year because of the damage that I had done.
Looking forward in your life, moving forward, how did that make you grow? How did that make you feel moving forward from the third grade, knowing that this happened to you, that little to nothing was really done about it, but it's still affecting you? How do you keep moving forward?
You push. I mean, that's all you can do. You take life's adversities and you take them, you learn from them, you grow from them. I didn't let that hold me down. I didn't let that hold me back. I learned as I grew. When I got around other kids of color that looked like me, or at least I thought looked like me, that's when I learned I was light-skinned, because of the stereotype that light-skinned people think they're better than everybody.
Did an altercation even arise with that in your...
Actually, yeah, I got picked on a lot.
Really?
I did. I was bullied quite a bit.
Because of the color of your skin?
Yeah, actually.
The Jim Crow?
Yep. If you separate them, they'll never advance. So, keeping it...
Did you share that with your parents? You come from a single family home, correct? So who was a support cast in your home?
So I grew up with my mother, but I had a lot of back support from my grandparents.
Okay.
So my grandparents helped a lot mold and shape me into who I am. They were some of my biggest motivators, my biggest help. My grandparents.
Your father wasn't there. Was there ever a moment in your life growing up that you wish he was there? And if, since he wasn't there, who stepped in to fill those moments where you definitely needed your father to be there? Because you're going through all of this bullying, guys spitting in your face, you got a mom and a grandmom, but sometimes a man needs to advocate.
That was my grandpa. My grandpa was the first man that I truthfully loved, the first man that taught me love, what it meant to be loved, what love felt like, and what it meant to be treated appropriately. But he also taught me how to handle my own. Mm-hmm. So he kind of taught me how I should be treated as a female, but he also taught me at the same time that I didn't need nobody to do nothing for me. Mm-hmm. My grandpa was a Southern man, so he taught me how to change tires. He taught me how to cut grass, pump gas,
change oil.
Yeah. Yep. My first car, that was one of my biggest struggles, was learning how to change oils. That's before I became who I am today, and I'm too cute to change oil today.
Are you too cute to wash the car?
I'm too cute to watch them. I can, but I'd rather pay Sparkling Image monthly to do it for me.
Okay. You move forward in life. Mm-hmm. You realize that you got to keep pushing, like you said. You go to college. What's that like?
College was eye-opening. It was one of the biggest culture shocks that I had ever experienced. This was the first time that I saw other Black people from different walks of life, not just the one or two of us that went to school in Perry Township, not just the kids from around the way. This is the first time that I saw other Black people that were wanting the same thing, but came from different backgrounds. And I went to ISU. It's not even like I went to a HBCU, mm-hmm. but that was still a huge culture shock to be around so many different growing Black people. It was beautiful. I spent a lot of my time in college in the African American Culture Center, which is where I learned more about my Blackness and what it meant to be Black and embrace myself for who I was.
To the viewers that don't know, what is the Culture Center at the school?
So the African American Cultural Center is where a lot of the African American and sometimes just other minorities, primarily African American, but other minorities go, and they have different classes, different events. They put on a Kwanzaa celebration every year. There's a Black graduation, congratulatory, that they put on for all the seniors who make it to that point. Like, it is very nurturing and supportive of young Black adults.
Who was your role model there? Who was your mentor?
Miss Valerie Craig.
And why?
She was one of the biggest people. She was my mother away from my mother.
Okay.
She was one of my biggest motivators. She pushed me. She pushed me to push my limits, to push my knowledge of self. Things that I said I couldn't do, she showed me I could.
How important was understanding yourself, and how did it really change you moving forward when she taught you that? Or what was you liking? What was the biggest part of your journey going into college and having all these things happen, and your father wasn't there, and your mom and your grandparents raising you? You go off to college, she becomes your mentor. What was the one thing that you was liking at that moment that all of a sudden she helped you to really regain, and you look back now and go, wow?
Self-confidence. That's it.
But you're a comedian.
I wasn't always an outward comedian. I was a comedian amongst my friends. I was a comedian in small groups. It took a long time to be comfortable putting myself out there for other people to see. It took a lot of growth. It took a lot of development. It took a lot of time, and it took a lot of patience. For a while, I would get almost sick before I touched the stage because I was so nervous all the time.
Now you don't have the issue.
No. Now I can host. Now I can be in front of a crowd as big as you can give me.
Have you ever bombed?
Oh, yeah.
What? Tell me the moment that you bombed, and what was it like?
So when I first got started, I had some friends peer pressure me into an open mic night. So I had never touched a stage, never done any of that outside of my little classrooms with 5 or 6 people competing in poetry events. So my friends thought it would be funny to sign me up because I'm funny. And I got called up to the stage, and I immediately knocked over my drink because I didn't know what was going on. So they cleaned up my drink, and I made my way to the stage.
And these are your friends?
These are my so-called friends.
They still your friends today?
Well, we gonna brush past that like you didn't even ask.
Okay.
And then I did good. I didn't bomb. So I decided I would go back and try it again. And this time I was prepared. I had wrote out a whole set about my gay ass ex-boyfriend who I had just broken up with like 3 or 4 days prior. So I had wrote out this whole set, and it was just going to be hilarious. And the one
was
time,
he supportive of?
No, but the one time I didn't want him to be there, he showed up, and I tanked. I looked out into the audience, saw he was there. After I had cracked a couple jokes, I looked into the audience. I said, you know what? I ain't shit. And I walked away.
Wow. He was the one that he didn't have to hackle. I'm saying he basically just his appearance. It probably just shocked you more than anything that all of a sudden he's there.
Yeah. That was it. That was because he didn't really, most of the things that I wanted to do, we didn't do. Like the relationship went nowhere fast. And everyone thought I was a lesbian for a while because he was a very pretty boy.
Really?
Which is how he became my gay-ass ex-boyfriend.
How much of your life is in your performance?
All of it. So whenever I write, it's usually because something has happened. It could be positive. It could be negative. It could be an experience. It could be an interaction that I had with someone, or just a conversation, like you and I having a conversation. I'm not gonna lie, I'm probably gonna write something later on today. Just full transparency. I just might.
Okay. My name is Andre The Beast. So when you're on the stage, where does your mind go? You got to be, because you, to me, to be in that field of entertainment, first you got to be able to read the crowd, because you don't know what you're going to really get. How do you transcend, and where do you go?
Usually it I got to take like a on stage break, if that makes sense. I come out, I introduce myself, and I pause to kind of gather my thoughts and figure out where I'm finna go with this. More often than not, I perform my poetry over my comedy, just because I think I'm a better writer and I'm not that funny, even though people tell me otherwise.
Okay.
I kind of put myself into a zone. Like, I kind of tune out everything that's going on and I go for it.
What is, you're now also producing, so to speak. Tell the viewers about that and how you're developing that part of your career.
Okay, cool. So I was different coming in. I've always been different. I've noticed that. I've always been different. Coming into the scene, I was one of the only poets that was around, because most of the events that I had encountered were comedian based. So I would go to an open mic and I'd be the only poet. So I was forced to develop my comedy.
Right.
So I would do it like an intro and a closing statement. I would come out with a couple jokes, throw a poem in the middle, end with a couple jokes, and then I created Poromedy, which is the fusion of poetry and comedy. I know that there are other people like me, or other people that are newer to the scene, still trying to develop themselves, still trying to get a feel for who they are. So I wanted to create a platform, and I wanted to create something different, something that no one else was doing here in the city. So I created the Kickback. The Kickback, you get live performances, everything from music, poetry, comedy. I had a cello player at my last Kickback that just happened. So you never really know what you're going to get performance wise at a Kickback, but there's always going to be a spades tournament, which is free to enter. There's always going to be raffles. There's always going to be games. There's always going to be crowd engagement. I, as a host, I go around and I make sure that my audience is engaged. I make sure that you're awake. I come up and sometimes I engage with you on trivia games, or I engage with a game that I created called DJ Cut That Shit. So people are going to engage one way or another.
What are some of the biggest things that you are seeing with what you're doing? Is it a big turnout? You know, what is it? What is it like for you?
Well, right now my turnout is,
because people want money, and people need to understand, first of all, you're using your own money to develop this entertainment platform for individuals. So what are some of the feedbacks that you're getting, both positive and negative, from the participants and the non-participant, as well as the crowd?
So once people have came to a Kickback, they're usually like, this was a great experience. Once you've been in a Kickback, you say usually that it was a great experience. I've had people reject my request to be in a Kickback. There are people who find me and request to be in a Kickback, but there are people that I have seen and I'm like, man, you've got some talent. I would love for you to come and perform at a Kickback. I've had people tell me that if I can't pay them, they want no parts in it. So I've been rejected a few times. And then in that same breath, I've had people who are like, look, I saw what you did for so-and-so. I was there. I really enjoyed it. I do music. I do poetry. I do comedy. I would love to participate in your next Kickback. So I've had both ends of the spectrum. I've never really encountered an audience member who did not enjoy the Kickback. But the thing is, how do I take the net that I have and cast it wider? Because I would love to be able to pay people. I would love to be able to put on a show and offer everybody something to walk away with. I would love that. But I'm not rich. I ain't got it like that. I still have to pay out my DJ, my photographer. It's a lot of things that go into hosting a Kickback that people don't necessarily see behind the scenes. They just see the final result. And people don't realize that the gift cards got to come from somewhere.
Where are these kickbacks usually performed at? Are they random places? Do you pick the places? How's that work?
So I pick the place, and right now every Kickback is located at the Ice Lounge on 56 and Post. So we're there. That is home for right now. it's
At
always
least you
great.
got a central base.
It's always going to be a good time.
How can the viewers reach out to you?
All right, so you guys can find me on all social media under It's LaShae's World. That's ITSLASHAES World. Don't forget the it's.
What's the end game for you? You got so much going on. You've overcome a lot. You take a lot of the pain and the heartaches, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and you put it in your poetry, you put it in your comedy, you put it in what you're trying to develop. What's your end game here?
Growth for me and growth for others. I love who I'm becoming, and I don't want to become stagnant in life. That's not on my radar. I'm going to be forever growing. I'm going to be forever changing. I'm going to be forever learning. And as I learn, grow, and change, if I can help others learn, grow, and change, I feel like I've done something.
Leave the viewers with something positive.
Something positive. Don't quit and never give up. You have to be your own support system sometimes, because at the end of the day, you are what you have. If you see it in yourself, others will then see it in you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been, once again, another exciting episode of the Andre the Beast Crayton Show.